Hello, my name's Jason, and I'd like to welcome you back to I Have a Story. Well, I have two big stories I need to get out there. Right now, I want to share an easy one. The other two stories are going to take me some time to create. They're going to be long, they're going to be emotional, and I'm trying to learn software to make them a video and not just a homemade production. So today I want to talk about water testing. I said in my opening video, my introduction, that I saw what I believe is falsifying water testing, and I want to share it with you and see what you think. Do you believe this is falsifying water testing? I used to, for several years, one of my favorite jobs that I had was what's called property preservation work. I repossessed houses for, there was middlemen in between me and the lending institutes that were foreclosing on the houses. And I did everything: roofing, siding, doors, windows, electrical, plumbing, trash outs, evictions, demolition work, winterizations, lawn, snow, pretty much anything you could do to a house I did. But there were also other contractors involved in different things that took place, and I'm going to be telling, hopefully my plan is to share more stories about that job in the future. But right now I want to talk about what I saw with water testing. There's two houses in specific I'm going to share today with what I saw, and I want to know what you think. So the one house, first one I'm going to speak of today, was out in the country. The house, the water feeding the house actually came out of a pond. The pond was green, stagnant, did not look healthy and safe, but just because something doesn't look pretty doesn't mean it's toxic. But this house couldn't pass water inspection, and they would come in. I don't spend 40 hours a week at these houses. Some houses I'm at extensively doing repairs, waiting for permission to go ahead and make the repairs necessary. And here comes my puppy dogs coming out to say hi. So what I saw at this house, I saw the man who did the water testing come out 3 times. And the first time he came out, and this is typical and standard, and I'm going to use this as a visualization. Hopefully you can visualize this. This is say this is the water system that's in your house, the plumbing, the water that's in your lines. They come out and they take a sample of this. If it doesn't pass inspection, what I saw was they would come out with these blue vials. They drain the system back down, go to the point of closest entry, and I talk to the guy. It's one of the fortunate things about owning a business is I can spend my day talking to people and educating myself and learning what's going on. But he even explained to me, they have this cleaner that they would put in the system, and they claim that when you drain a system down and there's no more water in the lines in your house, that it creates bacteria. Okay, I can understand that. But this is how they pass this. And I mean, realtors are really shady people. They will do anything to make a buck, and I'll tell a little bit more about that on the next house. But what I saw was, as they came in, took the water sample, it didn't pass inspection. So they came back with these little blue vials, and I'm going to use Windex here as a sample. But they'd come out and just put a little bit, dump one vial in. And then they would take that and go and test it. And what they would do is, when they put these chemicals in the system, they'd fill the system up, give it about 15 minutes, and then they go over to the kitchen sink, turn on the water for about 20 to 30 seconds, and then every 15 to 20 seconds, take 3 samples. 15-20 seconds, take a sample. 15-20 seconds, take a sample. Another 15 to 20 seconds, take another sample. And whichever one of those samples actually passed in the water quality test is what they used. Now, I saw specifically in both of these two houses that it happened 3 times, that I happened to actually be there to see it. He came back again, because even after he put those chemicals in and cleaned the system, it still wouldn't pass inspection. So he came back and dumped 2 vials of cleaner in there. Now we'll add another vial. I'm guessing I had to have passed inspection, because I did not see him again after that point, and they sold the house. Can't sell the house unless water passes inspection. Now, if you can see the blue in here, if there's chemicals in that water, is that really telling you the water quality? I actually was trained in this too, because I've dealt with this. When you want to clean a system, you put the cleaner in there, you let it sit for several hours, clean up the system, soak in, and then you turn on the water for 20-30 minutes. Let that water flush out, let the chemicals out, let any contaminations that are in those lines flush out. Not 20 to 30 seconds. That does not even come close to draining out your water lines. Even winterizing houses and blowing out with compressed air at 30, 40, 50 psi takes more than 30 seconds to drain the water out of the system. So with what I saw was that chemical's still in there. I don't know if you can see that the blue tint to this. That was my objective. That's not telling the water quality of the incoming water. Now what I saw was that water was coming in off the pond, and the pond was not healthy looking. So that tells me that they're not testing for water quality. They're just trying to get it to pass an inspection and pass the quality control so they can just sell the house and get it off their hands. Those people move in, they get the paperwork and the inspection results, and our water quality's fine. Look, it passed inspection. But they don't know the steps that were taken to get that to pass inspection. I saw it firsthand. Another concerning point that I have with this house, and I actually have two concerning points on each of these houses, one of which on each does not pertain to the water. This house had a multi-level roof. So I walked out the back door one day, and again, we had contractors come in. Like, I would do mostly just roofing repairs, small jobs, and if the whole roof needed to be replaced on a house, contractors would come in, and they had contractors that specifically would do complete renovations, complete roofing jobs, and things like that. When they didn't have people to do that or fell behind, I would step in, and I'd spend 3 or 4 days and roof a house, or spend a couple days and replumb a whole house or whatever. So I walk out the back door. It had 3 doors, I believe, that exited to the exterior of the house, one of which went on a deck. And the roof line came down to almost head level. After they had roofed the house, I realized that there was no drip edge. You could see it as plain as day. It was only a few feet away from my face. There was no drip edge put on that house. Roofing, there's not too much to it. I mean, it's a lot of labor, and it's a dirty job, but you basically have shingles, underlayment, ice guard depending on where you live, and drip edge. There's basic ventilation, but it depends on if you had gable vents, etc. I'm not getting into all that. So I reported it to the realtor, and I reported it to the company I worked for. I also took and walked over, and just out of curiosity, I lifted up a shingle. It still was fresh, and the tar had not been glued shingles together. So I was able to easily, there was no underlayment underneath those shingles. So I reported, no underlayment, no drip edge to the realtor and to my company. They sold the house as it was. They didn't make the company come back out and do the roof right. There's reasons why we have codes and laws and why these things have to be done right. So these people bought the house, and most homeowners aren't educated. They don't know this. They don't even know to look for it. And what's even more scary is there was a home inspector for them that came out and inspected the home and still didn't catch that. I mean, I saw it plain as day. So, that's concerning in itself. And I've seen home inspectors just totally not see plain as day things that are right there in front of them. That's part of their job, and that's what they do. And I've seen several times where I've seen inspectors do wonderful jobs, amazing jobs, and just thorough jobs. I've seen some just walk through and not even look at half of what they're supposed to even be looking at to inspect the home. So part of why I've learned how to do everything myself, because I'm very knowledgeable when it comes to houses and cars and mechanics, and it's just something that comes natural to me. So the homeowner bought a house with what they thought was quality water, and it wasn't. They also bought a house thinking, we have a new roof. That's lots of money for a roof, but the roof was not done properly, and it's not going to last. So on to the next house. I repossessed another house. It had PVC plumbing in. Okay, so there was something I did forget. When I talked to the guy about on the first house that I just talked about, when I talked to him about what he was doing, he told me that chemical was to clean out the interior of those pipes. So at the second house that I'm here to talk about, I replaced all the plumbing in that house. The pipes were all brand new. It was PVC. It had freeze damage. When PVC freezes, the whole entire system becomes brittle, compromised, and needs to be replaced. So I replumbed that whole entire house. It still couldn't pass water inspection. And on both these houses, I'm going to show you what I saw as to why it wouldn't. Obviously, the first house had that pond. Pond scum, not very clean. The second house, I'm trying to learn how to use editing software, and it's part of why my big videos I want to get out. So I'm doing this the old-fashioned way, and this is only a couple pictures. So I don't know if you can see this. I don't know if you can see this or not, how well you can see this, but this is a printout of the other house that I foreclosed on, which is this house over here. The reason I believe that house would not pass quality water inspection is because by code, when you have a neighborhood that has septic in well, the septic has to be a minimal, and if I remember correctly, 50 feet away from the wellhead. This right here is the house that I lived in. I lived in this house next door to the house that I foreclosed. I lived here for 5 or 6 years. I pulled the permits for my septic. Right here is my septic tank, or was my septic tank. I don't live there anymore. And according to what was in the city records, my leach field came out and had 3 or 4 runs that ran back and forth across the property in the backyard. This right here is where their wellhead was. And for anybody who doesn't know, this is a picture I took today of my wellhead. This is what a wellhead looks like right here. It's a plastic white pipe, and in my area, that's all I've ever seen. Different places in the country, maybe it'll be different. But this pipe goes down into the ground to the water table and has your pump that pumps the water up and feeds your house. So back to this one again. That wellhead was not 50 feet away from my septic system. It's also code that when they build a neighborhood on well and septic, that if the house has a septic in the backyard and a well in the front, all the houses have to conform to that same scenario, because this leach field can contaminate that wellhead. Now, while I don't know exactly where everybody's septic was in our neighborhood, I do know in this house their septic was in the backyard, and so was their leach field. I know because I saw the septic company come out and pump it out, but I don't know where their leach field went to in their backyard. But I did get the permits and pull mine, and this is what it showed. Here's my neighbor's wellhead. This was my wellhead. This is their wellhead. Oh, actually, I kind of got this upside down. So their septic tank was actually in their front yard, and their well head was in their back. I know, because you can see where the well heads are, they stick out of the ground. As I said, ours were out front, his was out front, which meant if his well head is here, his septic's either back here or back here somewhere. Again, these are all leaching into the ground where their well head was. Now, they don't know any different. They don't know these codes, and again, they had an inspector come and inspect the house, and he didn't even catch that. Didn't say anything about it. So the reason I believe that this house would not pass inspection for their water control was because their wellhead is surrounded by septic systems, which would be leaching off into their wells and contaminating their water. Again, I saw them 3 times come out to the house. I did extensive work. Again, I replumbed the whole house and did a lot of work to this house. So I just happened to be at this house again to see the guy come out and do the water testing 3 times, and he did the same exact thing. First time, just took water, made 1 sample. Took it in, it did not pass. Came back out, dumped a bottle of blue vial cleaner into the system, still would not pass. Then he came back out again, dumped 2 vials in. Yay, now we pass. Again, if you don't flush out that system, that chemical's still in there, so that chemical would essentially be neutralizing whatever is in that water system. That's not telling you your incoming water quality. And the people who live there just get a piece of paper from the realtors, from the mortgage company, from the inspectors. We passed water quality. But is our water really clean? I don't think so. And again, I just showed you why. You can't have a well head surrounded by septic systems because the septic systems will leach down and get into the well. So I believe that's what was happening there and why it wouldn't pass quality, and the people who live in that house have no idea. They also have very young kids when they moved into that house. They were a great couple, super nice, really nice people. Couldn't ask for better neighbors, really. They had kids about the same age as my kids and got along great, and we spent a lot of time together. The other very concerning point with that house was I also did, as part of my job and my inspection that I did was any sort of leaks on anything, whether it be water, whether it be the gas lines. So, and this is true with most places I've gone to. I've done the entire state of Ohio, north, south, east, and west. I've done the entire state, and I did southern Michigan from about Farmington Hills to the Ohio line and bordering east and west. So I've seen quite a bit, and in different places there's different laws and different codes. But one of the things I found in this house was, and this is true with most of those places, the city is responsible up to the meter, whether it be your water meter or your gas meter or even your electric meter. And then it's the homeowner's responsibility from the meter forward. I repaired the gas leaks and found gas leaks in the natural gas system after the meter. So I repaired those. But I also found gas leaks before the meter. Now the meter, and I've never seen this, I don't think I've ever seen this before in another house. The meter was actually inside the garage, and it's an enclosed garage attached to the house. I reported to the gas company and my mortgage company and the company that I work for. It all got reported that there was a gas leak before the meter, which I cannot touch legally. So that was reported. Now I lived next door to this house for 5 or 6 years. After the people moved in, I was really amazed. I saw the gas company come out about 2 years later. 2 years. And I went over to see what was going on because, I'm curious and that's just what I do. They were there to check the leak that was reported 2 years prior, give or take, roughly could have been 2.5, maybe a year and 3/4. It was about 2 years. They finally came out to test and check the gas leak that was inside an attached garage that was attached to the house and was leaking gas into that garage. Now where I lived is northern Ohio. It gets cold in the wintertime. Obviously you keep your garage closed up. There's a door between the house and the garage that opens and closes. What if that would have exploded? What if anything would have ignited that fumes? And the people, again, were very young, didn't know what natural gas smelled like, and he claimed, after this, and I didn't even think about it, I would assume that they came out and fixed that gas leak prior to the people moving in and selling the house. I think that would be part of, selling a house. You can't sell it until it passes inspections. But since that's pre-meter, nobody inspected it other than me, and I reported it. So it took them roughly 2 years to come out and even look, for the gas company to come out and even look to see that gas leak was happening inside an enclosed garage attached to a house. And this couple also had a 4-year-old boy, a 2-year-old girl, and a newborn baby. She was pregnant when they moved in and had a newborn baby at the time. That's very dangerous for a family. Something else I saw that was kind of funny. You use common sense. They had to come out and dig up the gas main shutoff in the ground in the front yard. So they dig this great big hole, get down there, and they'd shut off gas to the neighborhood in order to replace that shutoff so that they could repair the gas leak that was right before the meter inside the garage. And when they dug up the hole, and it's you have to have a fire extinguisher there in case there's and it was nice that they did and they thought about, but they put the fire extinguisher right next to the edge of the hole that they were digging in. So if there would have been an explosion, where would that fire extinguisher ended up? The thing should have been like 10, 15 feet away, close proximity, but not sitting right on the edge of the hole, that if there was an explosion and a fire, possibly would have thrown that fire extinguisher a distance, and could have even broke the valve, created it to be a rocket launched through the air, and could have caused a lot of damage. So I see things that just don't make some common sense at times and like to share. But if you've ever bought, especially foreclosed world, I have seen so much. It's a dog eat dog world. The guy who actually lived in that house next door to me that I just talked about, his name was Corey. And while he was living there, he went and got his realtor's license. And he was only in it for a few short months, and he got out of it because it was such a dog-eat-dog world. People stabbing each other in the back, cutthroat to try to steal sales over people, and it happened to him. And he said, I'm not like this. I can't work in this environment. He's a very honest, very, very nice guy. So he got out of the real estate business right away and said, no, this isn't for me. But they, again, they didn't know what natural gas smelled like, so he told me afterwards, oh, I thought I smelled stuff out there and something didn't smell right, but I didn't know what it was. Well, that's very dangerous. Why would it take a gas company 2 years to come out and repair that gas leak that, again, is inside a garage attached to a house that a family's living in? Now, I asked the gas company that because I approached them. I said, hey, what are you guys doing over here? Oh, we're here to repair the gas leak. Well, I reported that 2 years ago, and you guys are just now coming out to fix that. Yeah, we're behind, and we don't have the resources and the manpower and whatever to get out and handle these on a timely manner. 2 years these people lived in the house with a gas leak going on inside their garage. That's very dangerous, very dangerous. And I was just amazed that was the case. Would they have held liability? Do they hide the documents that I reported that 2 years prior if that house would have blown up with those people in it? It's part of why I'm looking out for people and want to share my knowledge and the things that I've seen to help people make the right decisions to live a healthier and happier and safer life. So that's why I'm here sharing this story, and I have many stories to share like this with you and what I've seen, because I want to look out for you. I'm a very knowledgeable person, and I've seen a lot, and I want to share that knowledge. So if you ever bought a house and the realtor did the water testing, it doesn't cost much to just take a water sample and take it in and have it tested. There's even some places, like I think Home Depot at one time, and maybe still do, they did it for free. You could just go in, pick up a water packet, fill up the vial, mail it in, and they'll send you back the test results. So it's not expensive. I have paid for it on a house that I did, and I think it was right around $100. And I mean, it was a long time ago, but I think it was like $100 to have the water tested. So I'm here to share this information. I'd like to know what you think. If this is the water quality that they're saying is clean, but yet has chemicals in it that are neutralizing the system and whatever is toxic in that system that wouldn't allow it to pass inspection, do you think this is what should be tested and claimed as good to go? I highly recommend that, especially in the foreclosure world. The foreclosure world is even worse than just the regular mortgage world. So if you ever bought a foreclosed home, or even just bought a home outright from another homeowner, and the mortgage company or somebody besides you did the water testing, I recommend that you have that water tested yourself. Again, there's no telling all the PFASs and so much things that we're learning about that is contaminating in our environment. I do have future videos that I'm going to make to talk about other water in different areas that I've seen that I really truly believe were terrible contaminants. One of which is because of a military base that is in a proximity of an environment where children were being born with alarming rate of birth defects. But that's for another video. So thank you for listening to my video. Please comment below on whether you believe what I saw is that falsifying water testing. Again, these realtors, they'll do anything to get these houses off their hands and sold and the money in their pockets. I've seen an awful lot. I just talked about a roof. I talked about the gas leak. I talked about water samples. And this is just 2 houses out of hundreds and hundreds that I've worked on and foreclosed and that I've seen. So I'm going to share my knowledge, and hopefully you can live a happier, safer, healthier life. Thank you, and have a good afternoon.